I'm just a girl that loves a good Turkish show. Alright, Disney fans, we are back for another Turkish series review. Today's series is called Fatmagül'ün Suçu Ne, aka What is Fatmagul's Fault? This series is an Ay Yapım production and came out in 2010 and ran for 2 seasons. The story starts off in a coastal town in Turkey, then develops later on in Istanbul, and tells the tragic story of Fatmagul, who was forcefully violated one night by 4 men while innocently walking near the beach. Fatmagul is a poor, naive girl who lives with her older brother, a small dairy farmer, along with her very hateful sister-in-law who bullies her every chance she gets for really no reason at all. Fatmagul can't wait to leave her brother's house and marry her child sweetheart Mustafa, freeing her from all the bullying and harassment care of evil sister-in-law. Mustafa is also anxiously waiting for their wedding and plans to seal the deal after he is finished building their new house. By all appearances, Mustafa and Fatmagul are very much in love, but soon their love will be tested and tried. Yeah, another young and innocent love falls a victim to the fire. Okay, so now meet Kerim, who is a humble and well-mannered young man who also lives in the same small town. And one night he's invited to hang out with some of his childhood friends who come to town for an engagement party. After drinking and partying way too much, they head to the beach where they encounter Fatmagul innocently walking home, and after harassing her for a bit, they make a really bad decision to forcefully violate her. Now, Kerim is there, but he's too drunk to prevent the assault. He silently laments while watching this whole thing go down. When morning comes, the guys are long gone, and Fatmagul is found and taken to the hospital by Kerim's auntie, where everyone finds out what happened. Kerim is plagued with remorse and regret and would do anything to go back and undo that night, but he cannot, and soon he will be the scapegoat for the crime committed that night. The men who attacked her, except for Kerim, who's just a small-town boy, come from rich and powerful families who have no regard for others, especially the lower working class. There is no way these powerful families are going to let their sons go to prison over some homely village girl, so they devise a plan to keep them out of trouble. Now, in some cultures, if a girl is violated, the violator can avoid prison time if the girl agrees to marry him. The powerful families discuss this and decide to talk Fatmagul's brother and sister-in-law into allowing the marriage along with a fat wad of cash, for their troubles and their silence. Kerim, being the least important person there that night, of course, is tagged to be the groom. Even though he did not partake in the attack that night, he was so drunk he has very little memory of that night, and he cannot be sure he did not partake. So he also accepts his fate along with a fat wad of cash. Kerim is very remorseful about what happened because he was not raised to hurt anyone, especially a helpless young woman. He absolutely hates himself and takes all the poison that Fatmagul spews at him. And she does spew a lot. He wants nothing more than to see Fatmagul smile again, but this will take a very long time. All right, so let's talk about Mustafa. When he finds out what happened to his beloved, he loses himself completely. He confronts her in the hospital, demanding to know who did it, placing the blame on her. He ends the engagement and burns down the house he was building for their future life together. Mustafa's parents are also on board with ending the engagement now that Fatmagul is no longer innocent and pure. Fatmagul is absolutely crushed that Mustafa has left her high and dry and all alone, forced to now marry one of her violators. Mustafa and his family are devastated and embarrassed by the whole ordeal and decide to ruthlessly erase Fatmagul from their lives, showing her no mercy at all, guys. You already know, karma is coming for them all. Fatmagul hates her life and Kerim, who she now has to live with and see every day. Kerim desperately tries to make the best of it, but it seems that Fatmagul will never forget or forgive what was done to her. Kerim's auntie, who raised him after the death of his parents, also lives with them, and she takes on a motherly role to Fatmagul, and I am confident that her presence is a gift from on high. Fatmagul has no one she can trust or talk to about anything she was going through. Her brother is intellectually challenged, and of course her sister-in-law is completely evil. She has no one, guys. Kerim's auntie is her only support system after the assault, and she cares for Fatmagul like she was her own daughter. She constantly defends Fatmagul from everyone around her that wishes her downfall, especially the evil sister-in-law. I really love people who can demonstrate great love and compassion to a complete stranger in such a profound way. Now, Kerim starts to realize the cruel injustice done to Fatmagul and himself when he learns that he was not an actual participant in the assault that night. This news brings him great joy and releases him from the pangs of guilt plaguing him. He slowly begins to fall in love with Fatmagul and becomes very protective over her and decides to go against his childhood friends and their powerful families in an effort to fight for justice. Fatmagul slowly starts to see that Kerim is not the monster she thought he was and eventually puts her trust in him, which is a huge step for her. The attackers begin to harass Fatmagul and Kerim when they catch wind that the couple no longer want to play by their rules for this game they are playing. After all, this is not a game for Fatmagul and Kerim. The attackers plan all types of evil ways to mess with them, including using Fatmagul's ex-fiancé Mustafa. Mustafa's anger about the attack on Fatmagul turns into a thirst for revenge and a desire to delete Kerim and get his woman back. Yeah, this guy actually teams up with the attackers to help him obtain his own kind of justice. But Fatmagul has not forgotten that Mustafa threw her to the wayside when he learned that she was no longer the innocent and pure bride he was about to marry. Mustafa's behavior after the attack only poured salt on her wounds, and she realizes that Kerim is actually a better man than Mustafa and has no plans on going back to him. Mustafa treated her like she was spoiled goods, y'all, crushing whatever was left of her poor spirit. The attackers used Mustafa's thirst for revenge to their advantage, and soon Mustafa is in deep over his head with very powerful people, and unfortunately he will pay the ultimate price in the end. Kerim and Fatmagul go up against these powerful people only armed with one thing, the truth. After seeing Kerim go to great lengths to protect Fatmagul, she finally admits that she's in love with him, and so their journey towards healing begins. Mustafa continues to cause trouble for the couple as he cannot let go of Fatmagul or accept that she now belongs to another. Mustafa's story does not end well, and I feel like he was also a victim of the attack that night. Yeah, he didn't handle the situation well at all, as he just could not cope with what happened to Fatmagul or how he even threw her away when she needed him most. That type of guilt will drive a person mad. But we will reap what we sow, and Mustafa was sowing all kinds of anger and vengeance around him. So karma will do her job once again. Fatmagul and Kerim want justice for what happened to her that night and eventually go to the authorities and confess everything. They know this places their lives in great danger, so they elicit the help of a lawyer, a private investigator, and the media, and soon all of Turkey is screaming for justice for Fatmagul. The attackers all get what they deserve, and Fatmagul and Kerim can finally live their lives in peace. The story of Fatmagul is one of strength and courage in the face of tragedy. Kerim and Fatmagul's journey through it all demonstrates that something beautiful can come out of something horrific. This story epitomizes the phrase, every dark cloud has a silver lining. Kerim and Fatmagul eventually have a real wedding, and they can finally put the ugly past behind them. There are cultures that still punish women for attacks that occur to them, even when they have no fault at all. This series brought a lot of attention to the pain and suffering women go through when they are forced to be silent about their attack. This story also demonstrates the power of compassion and empathy. I don't think that Fatmagul could have healed as fast as she did without Kerim's auntie's support, y'all. She was a real hero in this story. One event that changed the lives of so many people because a few guys got drunk and chose to violate an innocent person for fun. They were obviously raised without any honor and integrity. Even the families of the attackers were not spared from suffering. So much stress goes into helping your spoiled children get away with a crime, I guess. I also loved how the writers dealt with Mustafa's emotional downfall. His pride was more important to him than his promise to love Fatmagul the rest of his life, and he lost everything because of it. Even his parents will ask Fatmagul for forgiveness when everything is said and done. The journey towards healing for Fatmagul and Kerim is one of the most beautiful stories I've seen. I have yet to find a series produced by Yapim that I did not love. Justice and love will prevail in this one, guys. You can go watch the series with others with English subtitles on watchturks.tv. Let them know I sent you. Get a discount on your membership. All right, guys, that's all I got on this one. Don't forget to like, share, and sub to the channel. And until next time, gule gule.